All right, good morning, all of you. Thank you so much for joining today and have a group discussion to find out as to what could be some of the best practices that we can use. First of
Hi.
all, let me
All
also
right.
give an
So,
introduction. I have Mohan, I have Abhinav, Nayana, Shiva, and we're also waiting one more person, Priranjan. But anyways, let's start with Mohan. Yes, Mohan.
hi everyone.
Hi.
Yeah. So, one of the maybe common questions, or it is a tricky and an important question. Sounds simple, but it is a little important question. What I've faced is, why do you want to join our company?
Okay. Why do you want to join our company? Okay. So, what do you
Yes.
think your typical answer would be?
Uh, so I did a little bit of homework about it, and I feel that you this answer is very important and very tricky, and you have to match your uh, experience and the company that you are applied, and why do you think that you want to join, and you have to match it and then explain it to them that they are convinced that okay, this guy is capable of joining our company
Okay.
based on your experience. So that's how I answered in the interviews, so that they are convinced.
Okay. Fair enough.
And you have to relate and connect the company profile, the job that you have applied, and your experience.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
What
I
do you
have an input on this. I too feel that this is a very important question, and it's kind of a make or break question because generally what happens is normally during start of an interview you are typically asked with tell me about yourself, and the very second question is why do you want to join our firm. So this is something I feel which every person should prepare for. And normally what happens is say there are multiple scenarios wherein a person may switch after 1 year of time, or say after 5 or 10 years having a good tenure with one particular company. So answer may vary in terms of what is your background, where do you come from, how much time you have spent with your previous organization. So reasons may differ. uh, some of the inputs from my side based on my recent experiences would be that your inherent thoughts is, suppose for an example you want to switch after 6 months or 1 year. Primary reason may be money, right? That in the current job you are not satisfied with the money, but I would urge candidates to look beyond that. Try to think in detail that why they are really unhappy in the current environment. Yes, I understand money can be one of the reasons, but it cannot be the only reason for you to switch. So I would urge them to think that what is which makes them unhappy. Jot all those points down and start with them. It may be possible that you are not able to come up with any other reason and money still is your primary reason. Then be candid with the interviewer and just say that this is my primary reason and this is why I'm unhappy. So yeah, that's how I'd approach this.
cool? I think that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I have
So
two
yeah.
bits about this topic. As Mohan and Abhinav rightly said, that this question probably would vary, and this it's a very critical question for an interviewer to know in terms of what are your objectives, right? So that is what they're trying to gauge, right? So there are two things that they gauge. One is your confidence level. Second is, do you really have a genuine reason for switching over from the current organization? Are you in some kind of trouble in the current organization? Are you just switching over for money? Or are you just switching over for tenure? So, or post a certain tenure because you have stagnancy. So there are various reasons. I mean, either you could be stagnant, or the reason could be that you've not probably had a growth for a long time, or the third reason could be that you've been doing the same type of job that you probably are being offered, but the environment and the culture of the organization could be quite significantly different, right, from where you're working currently to where you want to work. So you have to be extremely objective about answering these questions. You have to be extremely, not a very subjective or a story-based answer. I think you need to be extremely objective in terms of answering this with a very specific and a genuine reason. I've also seen a lot of people probably trying to prepare fake answers for many of the questions. For example, Why do you want to join our organization? You know, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? So people give a very stereotype answer. That is something that I've observed in my preparation, and I've been preparing so many people in the last year, a few years. So I've seen typical answers, keep coming up. So I think we have to be extremely objective and in saying that, hey, I've been working in this organization for the last 10 years or 15 years, and I've been working as, let's say, a project manager or a scrum master for the last couple of years. And I think I do not see anything new which is coming up. I've been experiencing the same, work that I've been doing for the last 5 years or 4 years or whatever, and I don't see any growth for me, in this organization, and that is one of the reasons. Or let's say, because of whatever, right? So it has to be extremely objective. That is my observation. Yeah, Shiva or Nayana, if you guys have any points to add, you may probably want to before we move to another question.
Yes, Sriram, I agree with all of you. So we basically need to tell, we have to be a little bit honest here, saying that although we have a good experience in the current organization, maybe for career growth, or I see myself doing so and so in your organization for a long term, which is why I'm interested in this role. Maybe something like that would definitely convince the hiring manager.
Fair enough. Shiva, you were talking about some question.
Yes, this is about the conflict management, which I have come across. I think, as you said, like, the stereotype answers doesn't work, what I understood. Okay, a very practical, we need to be really understanding the environment. We should understand the people mindset in the organization when you act as a scrum master to behave such a way. So I'm just trying to, still enhancing my thought process towards that side. One thing is you need to be really good with the subject right from the beginning on the Scrum sides, all the Scrum events and end-to-end kind of things. Along with that, you need to mix with the people management stuff. These two contributions, which will, enhance that, or will give a good result to the interviewer.
Questions, anybody else that you want to raise that we can probably have a discussion on?
Yes, Sriram. So this is one of the questions I was asked, for one of the interviews that I attended in the past. So the question was, what are your biggest strengths and weaknesses, and why do you think they are your strengths and weaknesses? So this was like really tricky. And I mean, usually I've attended interviews wherein they just ask strengths and weaknesses and move on to the next question. But this particular person wanted to know why that was my strength and weakness, and I kind of stumbled there. So if you can suggest me how do we back this, it would be great.
Sure, sure. While I'll come to Mohan, Abhinav, and others, I will probably just start off the discussion from my side, first. I think this is one of the most ambiguous questions, right? That most people are not able to kind of, the best of the best, regardless of whatever kind of experience that you may have had, are not able to counter that well, right? So the reason is when we say strength could be playing cricket as well, right? Or strength could be in terms of probably watching in terms of speaking well, whatever the case may be. Now, should we be objective about them? Should we be subjective about them? So obviously, we'll have to focus on the kind of job that we're going to be doing, or the organization that we're going to be taking up the job, with, or the kind of roles and responsibilities that we're going to be taking up, right? So, for example, if you've applied for a project manager role, or any technical role, or for that matter, let's say a scrum master's role, whatever job that you've applied for. So your answer has to be a little focused on those jobs, and then you should probably answer them. So for example, if somebody asks me a question in terms of what are your strengths and why do you think they are your strengths, so I would say I think logical ability, communicating, influencing, stakeholders and influencing people around me, getting people and probably leading by examples, right? So probably coming in front and probably getting something done, showing people in terms of how it needs to be done, right? And also probably being extremely logical in your approach, and trying to create a balance, right? So that you can probably win the confidence, and being extremely transparent amongst people so that people have the trust in you, right? So those are some of the strengths that I've carried with me. There are two things to watch out for. One is your tone, right, with which you probably project yourself, which probably boosts a lot of confidence, rather than just saying that I think my strength is communicating, rather than saying I think. Is the choice of words that we use. Second, the confidence level that we bring in, the energy that you bring in, the expression that you bring in, because at the end of the day, you're selling yourself, right? And it cannot be fake. It has to be true. And hence, I would recommend that you think about what your real strengths are and try to project them and say, why do you think that can be helpful, right? In the kind of job that planning to do, or the kind of job that you've applied for, how do you think your strength will really help you, right? So, for example, leading from the front, leading by examples, being logical, creating a balance, creating a transparent environment, building trust amongst people. Why? Because if I'm, for example, applying for a project manager, I need to win the trust of people, because without the influence of my team members, without winning the influence of the stakeholders, I do not think I'll be able to do my job well, right? So that is one of the critical strengths that I definitely need to have for the kind of job that I'm applying for. Um, as far as weakness is concerned, Naina, I would say that if there is any area that you're still working on, for example, let's say I'm still trying to, I know that I run a training organization, right? I run a training academy called UBreakthrough Solutions, and we basically are into project management, product development, robotics, right? These are some of the areas that we're focusing on, a little bit on AWS and stuff like that. So another area that I want to get into is internship for a lot of subjects. I want to get into AI and ML, right? Artificial intelligence and machine learning. And that's something that I've been struggling for some time now, and I've been pondering upon and thinking about how do I manage my time better, and probably start off with some a program on those subjects, which I have not been successfully able to do so far, right? And that's something that I would want to put on my calendar and make sure that I objectively create them, right? So that's, I believe, I won't say it's a weakness, but definitely an opportunity area, right? So that's the way I would put it across. Hope I kind of answered your question, Naina.
Yes, Sriram, it was good. Thank you.
Welcome. Anybody else wants to add a point or two, please feel free to do so.
Hi, Shriram. So on the same strength and weakness question, I want to add my perspective, and I'd agree with you when you talked about the weakness and you mentioned yeah, the opportunities, right? So while answering while answering these questions, right, I make it a point that I talk about my strengths, that to try to make it as objective as possible, and then I speak about my improvement area. So I do not term it as a weakness when I am answering to the interviewer. I say that these are the improvement areas which I would want to work in future, and so they may include answers like, say, suppose. For an example, I have done CSM, a certified Scrum Master, but I have not done SAFe. So I may say that I want to improve myself and learn this particular skill set, or I would want to learn do some XYZ certification, or I want to learn machine learning. Say, instance, I mentioned that yes, I'm very good with analytical skill, but in improvement areas, you can relate to it and then say that I want to now strengthen it and then improve upon it and go into machine learning. So that's how you can give them a ray of hope that the candidate itself thinks about all these linkages and it's trying to improve, and they show that we have done retrospection from our own side, that we know what we are talking about. So that's how I would approach it.
I think fabulous. Yes, absolutely. I think you should have some areas of improvement ready for yourself. I've seen a lot of people, or time management. 90% of the people will answer time management, right? When somebody asks you what are your weakness and what is it that you would want to work on, I think I've not been the best in terms of managing my time. But honestly speaking, at that, it should not be fake. It should be realistic, something that you're setting as a goal for yourself, something that probably could be an opportunity area for yourself, and try to work on it. Yes. Anybody else have a point or two?
Uh, on the same theme, actually, I have one more question which I was asked, and I would say, taken aback for a second to articulate my thoughts on this. So the interviewer asked me that if I were to hire my own replacement in my organization, what are the three qualities that I will look which are similar to me, and three which are different than me? So like I had to spend couple of seconds to structure my thoughts, articulate my thought, but at the back of my mind, I could find it relating to talking about my strengths and improvement areas, and what are the qualities, like what are the strength areas that I have that I will look in other candidates, and what are the improvement areas which currently I do not have, and I would want to look in the candidate which I want to have. But the structure of this question was a little bit different, which kind of threw me for a couple of seconds. I would want to call that out.
I think it's more innovative to ask this way rather than straightforwardly asking what are your strengths and weaknesses, isn't it?
Yeah, true. I
Right? So
agree.
it's making you think, and you can't just say something for the sake of saying it. So
Yeah.
I think it's a brilliant question. It is pointing towards the strength and weakness. It's just that it's more smarter way of asking the same question, right? Fabulous.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I completely agree with Abhinav and Nayana on the strengths and weaknesses. What I would like to add is I think if we back it up with one or two examples which we faced on a day-to-day basis in our work, a positive thing that has happened in our work or positive attribute that I have, like if I back it up with an example, that will be more convincing to the interviewer. I feel, right, Sriram?
that's true. Great. All right. Moving on.